first really big chances to shake up this race. As we head into tonight, President Biden is trailing within the margin of error, with not only nationally, but within key battleground states. And so from the perspective of the Biden campaign, they are viewing this as a chance to change the shape of this race, for President Biden to talk about his accomplishments, to talk about what he believes his record is on the border. For example, he just took those executive actions on the border. He's trying to flip the script on Donald Trump, who's obviously made that a critical issue. And also, of course, reproductive rights. He'll take the gloves off, I think, when it comes to Trump's criminal convictions. But Tom, look, you and I were talking about this earlier. I think this debate will be as much about the performances of these two candidates as it is about the policy discussions that we see unfold tonight. If Donald Trump gets on the stage, if he's unhinged, if Biden has a big misstep, those sorts of things could wind up dominating the debate. But again, this debate tonight is a chance for this race to really start to be shaken up.
Chuck, I want you to put this in a sort of perspective and give us your insight as well. You know, this is going to be a first in a lot of ways because we don't have the Commission on Presidential Debates taking part in this. The mics are going to be cut off. There's also this issue about fact checks. And as a loyal listener to the Chuck Toddcast, I know you have your thoughts about those fact checks. And you're of the school that it's actually not a bad idea. Explain to our viewers why.
No, look, I think that the debate itself, the candidates are there to fact check each other. And ultimately, that's the first place that it should happen. You know, I think I think moderators need to have a light touch on this because there's a fine line between correcting a fact and participating in the debate as looking like you're having the back and forth. And again, you know, when you do that,
what does that wait?
To do it, you're trying. Trust me, we all have. Especially when you've run a talk show and you've done your own thing before, you're used to jumping in. But ultimately, the viewer, you're doing a disservice to the viewers. Let's see how the candidates fact check each other on that front. And then look, you do a rigorous fact check in other places.
Trunk mining for 2.5 hours.
Sometimes those things matter a
Oh
lot,
man.
But if you do it in the middle of the debate, you really could disrupt the flow. And again, I really think do a disservice to the voters who are trying to take a measure. Hey, are the two candidates aware? You know, is candidate X aware that candidate
I'm like
Y
waiting for dinner
was
to be
completely
cooked.
wrong
I'm like
about?
starving.
The stakes are so high for President Trump. We've argued that the Trump campaign has sort of lowered the bar for the Biden team.
I need
What is
chat
a
on my
victory
phone.
for President
Yes.
Biden? Does he have to just survive, or does he have to actually deliver?
Not.
You know, it's interesting when you talk about this idea of the expectations game, because this has come up in some of my conversations with folks close to both candidates here, and it was encapsulated, interestingly, by two people on very different ends of the political spectrum. Megyn Kelly, on the one hand, suggesting that all President Biden has to do is, like, not pass out.
Right.
Hillary Clinton suggesting that all former President Trump has to do is not literally light himself on fire. I mean, that's like sort of where
Extremes,
things are.
right.
Yeah, absolutely extremes, but also this idea that for both candidates, you talk about how they're treating this debate. I do get the sense that both of them are treating this with at least the respect that the audience of tens of millions could have, right? Setting aside whether or not we're going to see a more disciplined Donald Trump, whether we're going to see a more energetic President Biden, whatever, the bottom line is they know that there will be eyeballs on this debate, and that this is
For
in
fuck's
many
sake.
ways a key moment to, if not reset where the campaign is, at least press that starting gun in a big way heading into the conventions, and then obviously making that turn after Labor Day for debate number 2. Because remember, there's another debate coming up in the fall when presumably more people traditionally have engaged in the political spectrum.
But that's if it happens. We'll have to see. Maybe that one doesn't even happen. We don't know what happens after tonight. Steve, I do want to ask you, you know, a lot of people, when they're talking about this election, they're talking about 6 on 6, right? There's 6% of voters in 6 states that are going to decide this election, right? What do those voters want to hear about? What exactly do they want to hear to make their decision?
Well, look, I mean, I think they're looking at the same thing voters in every state are looking at here, and it's probably just at a very basic level here.
Your character doesn't look right. They're holding it like that. It's like that. I haven't. Or I guess like my modeler doesn't really do this stuff anymore, so I'm kind of stuck here.
Of those states there, those were Biden states in 2020, all 6 of those. And if you look at the polling right now, and you look at the demographics, you see 3 of those that Trump is better positioned in than the other 3. The 3 he's best positioned in, Trump, to flip would be Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. The polling's been better for him there, and where he's made inroads, at least in the polling, has been with non-white voters. Those states have larger non-white populations. But here's the thing for Trump. If he were to flip all of those states, that would get him to 268 electoral votes. You need 270. So he would then need to go into a Wisconsin, a Michigan, or a Pennsylvania and flip one of those states. Flip that around. For Biden, if he can protect those 3 states, call them Midwest, call them Rust Belt, call them Big Ten, even though the Big Ten's in California now, he can probably hold on to the presidency.
Steve, Chuck, before we go, I got the right anchor position. I'm going to now give you the final word. Those are the rules of this broadcast. Final thoughts before we go into this historic debate.
Look, I know a lot of people are looking for fireworks tonight. Look, I think these candidates, one thing to think about here,
I
both
fucked up.
campaigns think they're on a track to win now. Just 6 weeks ago, they didn't. So
Electoral college, I know, right?
I'd be surprised if we have 2 nervous candidates on that stage who are more risk-averse than we're used to.
All right, Chuck Todd, I want to thank our panel tonight. Chuck Todd, Kristen Welker, Steve.
I am not in one of those battleground states. I want to be. It'll feel like I'm worth something, but I'm not.
And a huge night for the 2 candidates on stage. We want to thank you so much for watching our special coverage live from Atlanta right here on NBC News Now. We want you to stay right here, though, also as well, because from here, we're going to pick up that simulcast. Lester Holt, Savannah Guthrie, they're going to anchor our coverage as we go into that debate. And again, it's going to be a big night. If you love politics, if you love this country, if you're concerned about who you're going to vote for, you want to watch right now. So stay right there. The first presidential debate is going to begin in just moments. As they give me the 10-second count, this is called stretching. I'm going to stretch just a little bit as we get there. Live look at the spin room right now. We're going to take you into that debate in about 8 seconds. Stay right here. The first presidential debate. It begins.
Oh shit.
A showdown unlike any other in recent history.
Joe Biden and Donald Trump face to face for the
Who's got the best ELO odds? I think Biden.
Both men on stage for a historic debate and a pivotal rematch with the White House at stake.
From NBC News, here are Lester Holt and Savannah Guthrie.
I want to see a headlock.
Good evening and welcome to the first presidential debate between President Biden and former President Trump, hosted by CNN.
These 2 men have debated in the past, of course, but this time is going to look a lot different.
The debate is being held at a TV studio after the candidates bypassed the commission that hosted the debate since the 1980s.
So there is no audience tonight, and the microphones will be muted after a candidate's speaking time is up.
The debate expected to run 90 minutes. There will be 2 commercial breaks this evening.
We're going to bring you full analysis here on NBC once the debate is over, but it is about to begin. CNN about to broadcast the presidential debate. Let's listen.
Case to the American people with just over 4 months until Election Day. Good evening, I'm Dana Bash, anchor of CNN's Inside Politics and co-anchor of State of the Union.
I'm Jake Tapper, anchor of CNN's The Lead and co-anchor of State of the Union.
Oh, is it on CNN?
Moderate this evening. Our job is to facilitate a debate between the 2 candidates tonight. Before we introduce them, we want to share the rules of the debate with the audience at home. Former President Trump will be on the left side of the screen. President Biden will be appearing on the right. A coin toss determined their positions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer a question and 1 minute each for responses and rebuttals. An additional minute for follow-up, clarification, or response is at the moderator's.
This is a wrestling match. I think Trump would win.
It's time for a candidate to speak.
Probably.
His microphone will be turned on, and his opponent's microphone will be turned off.
Oh my God,
Should
hold
a
on.
candidate
I'm getting like
interrupt when his
a
microphone
lot of
is muted,
notifications. Hold
it will
on.
be difficult to understand for viewers at home. At the end of the debate, each candidate will get 2 minutes for closing statements. There is no studio audience tonight. Pre-written notes, props, or contact with campaign staff are not permitted during the debate.
It's gonna be so dumb.
To debate both candidates and their campaigns.
Wait, if they're gonna be on CNN, I'm gonna.
Now, please welcome the 46th president.
Oh no 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 no! Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Oh, look at them meager. Oh, look at them. Oh, look at them.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here.
here. Let's begin the debate, and let's start with the issue that voters consistently say is their top concern, the economy. President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president.
Holy shit!
We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we had to do is try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought out the position where we have 800,000.
Bro's throat is gone. What was he doing last night?
Still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come from a household where the kitchen table, if the things weren't able to be met during the month, it was a problem.
Oh my God.
The price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination that I was left with in corporate greed is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos, literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for an insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can do beginning next year. And the situation is and we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you. President Trump?
We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID, and when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. But other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce-back jobs, a bounce back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world. And, the fact of the matter is that we found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax
Solution denial.
$2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president in one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover.
I'm just sitting here like, golly, how did we come this far?
When he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we still found ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
Am I allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
Not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power.
Sorry, whenever I mention you in a convo, I say my heavily political friend. What the fuck?
We also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that.
I'm like
He
the
also said
politics
he
ubu
inherited 9%
type of
inflation.
person.
He inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months, and then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It was the worst, probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country.
Bro, how the fuck are you gonna... What the fuck was gonna happen, though?
The national debt soared to record highs. And according to a new nonpartisan analysis, President Trump, your administration approved $8.4 trillion in new debt. Well, so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt. So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt,
pulling out with honor.
Corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now.
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred...
Man, I wonder how much
when we cut the taxes,
bullshit that is.
The tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more...
Is bro side-eyeing? What is that? What is that face?
Largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right...
Yeah, no shit.
A lot of people don't like to talk about, but he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it.
The pandemic was still going on. It lasted longer in this what? What do you mean?
He did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent. All of the things he's done, we've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country, and I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, that $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. I mean, billionaires in America.
What?
We're in a situation where...
Yo, where are them trillionaires at, bro? I want to have a word. I want to have a soft word with them.
They've raised $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if.
Why'd you jinx it? Why'd you jinx it? Why the fuck did you jinx it? Why'd you jinx it?
He's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people.
Oh, now you care about Social Security.
He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right.
Or me? I think I'd do a better job as president.
What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people, they cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President Trump. Tana?
This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However,
I'm your like write-in
the federal
vote.
government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all.
Remember, Scooty, this is
President, would you block abortion medication?
this is political propaganda for you to vote blue in Oklahoma,
With their decision to have done that.
because that state is kind of fucked.
And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex but not really complex.
I literally
51 years
cannot.
ago, you had Roe v. Wade,
Shit.
and everybody wanted to get it back to the states.
I literally can't run for president until I'm like 35.
Liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court.
This is your political awakening, young lad.
killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, and getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like Ronald Reagan,
I don't.
I believe in the.
It's. I don't think it's a good thing that individual states can
It's
just
important to believe in the exceptions. Some people you have to
take
follow the law,
away
some people don't
a
believe
right
in
to abortion
But
like
I believe
that.
in the exceptions for
I don't know if
rape, incest,
I don't know if it's a good idea if
murder. I
states
think it's
should
very
just
important.
do that.
Some people don't. Follow your heart, but you have to get elected also, and because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you, President Biden.
Bro looks shocked. Bro looks shocked. Oh my god.
Constitutional scholars supported Roe.
Damn.
Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. And the idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in, they talk about that. But here's the deal: there's a lot of young women are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters. It's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
Consider the most dangerous
Biden
place
is
anywhere in the world.
81, Trump
And
is
we
like
opened it
78.
up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible
They're
thing.
not
As far
bringing
as the
their
abortion is
best.
concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is
Texas,
what
man.
everybody wanted, including the founders
Of course it
who
was
knew
a
about this
state.
issue, which frankly they didn't. but they would have. Everybody wanted it brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody.
I don't know if it's a good thing that Reagan wants something.
I was the one
just,
to do it.
just,
and again, this
you know.
the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Staying on the topic of abortion, President Biden, 7 states, I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions.
Matt Martin's 35.
A woman can obtain an abortion.
Sounds about right.
Do you support any
He would be a good. He would be a.
on how late a
He would be a
woman
good
should
man.
be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. The first time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
So that means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it after birth. Again, the former governor.
No, literally no.
So he's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican.
That's not what's happening.
That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period, period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because
they abort. Yeah, they.
He takes credit for taking it away.
Aren't we all getting aborted when like someone like murders us or something? Does that count as an abortion? Because like it happened like after birth. Check W.
And they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks. Something very, very conservative. Was he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security. President Biden, a record number of migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch. Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. Significantly, by the way, the Border Patrol endorsed me, endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go.
Oh Jesus, my brain.
I've changed the law.
That was like I did not need no.
In the way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border legally. That's better than when he left office.
Can y'all hear everything okay, by the way?
Move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border.
Bro, what a cop out.
The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who was great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had.
Damn, he pulled out the Brandon, dude. That's crazy.
There's never been anything like it, and people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in caravans.
President Trump. President Biden.
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed three, under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in and his administration.
What in the fuck did he just say?
American soldiers. Killed 3 American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people. It's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating. He's lying.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani. The 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world.
Al-Baghdadi.
Huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people
Baghdad.
with the bad water.
Bro, what? What do you gotta say his name like that, man?
And also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, in every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these 3 incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and he just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast,
migrant.
because they're going to.
Yeah, he's thrown that one around.
They're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all, and he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved. Choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by allowing all of these people to come in. And it's a very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of...
Bro, looks like he's about to, like, fall over, man.
You're the sucker. You're the loser.
Oh, shit!
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made
Damn, bro.
Put it in commercials. We notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up, and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers.
Looking at chat.
Think that I would, in front of generals and others, say...
Has the debate been buffing your play? Not really.
It was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking, it's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said...
I usually hold my mouth until, like,
it wasn't. That
when
came from his son Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
What was it?
4-star general standing to your side who was on your staff.
Actually, no, the
said it.
primaries already happened.
That's
Shit.
number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. And they now are in their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come
There's
home.
like that dude that wrote a book about how to
And when they go to war. That's what we're doing.
how to predict who's
That's what
gonna
the
be
VA is
president
doing
or
now.
something.
They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right, thank you so much.
Let's move to the topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its third year. Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its
It only
bid
works with
to join
Das.
NATO.
Nah, bro.
Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
I'm like hungry
Our
as
veterans
well.
and our soldiers can't
I
stand
was
him.
like,
They can't stand him. They think
Back in
he's the
some-
worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about
he's
anyone.
technically gotten the
And that's
popular
based on
vote
every
right
single
all 10
bit of
times too.
information. As far as Russia and Ukraine,
Just
if
not
we
the
had a real
electoral vote.
president, the president that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals like I fired the one that you mentioned. And so he's got no love lost. But he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most
Dang, and
embarrassing
since they got their
moment
mics cut
in
off,
the
we can't
history
like
of
hear anyone's
Afghanistan.
response to
We left
shit.
billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything. No money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
President Biden?
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is...
Bro said malarkey! Bro said the thing!
Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, when he was president, they attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when the attack took place, number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want, do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. And listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish, Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I never
come back
said
to you
that.
for 1 minute. I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the territory in Ukraine?
No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect, before I take office on January 20th, I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly.
Even before I become president, it will be solved. But even if I have no power.
Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then do you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, by the way, all that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States. We give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through to the G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward. Which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages.
We are literally.
Second,
They have literally brought up that plan before. Y'all just never wanted to do it.
Number one, we're the only ones standing up. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened in Israel? We're finding the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so they're 2 different things. Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. We don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened, Hamas, greatly weakened, and they should be. They should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful for using certain weapons among population centers.
Just going back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent $100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting all. You got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas,
I don't think my 9th is going to be.
Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him.
Oh my God, this is so bad.
President Biden, you have a minute.
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. You're going to stay in NATO? He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have, our strength lies in our alliances as well. It may be a big ocean, but were we ever able to avoid a war in Europe, a major war in Europe? What happens if, in fact, you have Putin continue to go into NATO? We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine and then move on to Poland and other places. We'll see what happens then. He has no idea what
Jesus,
he's
man.
talking about. And by the way, I got 50 other nations around the world to support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
President Trump, just to follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see, but before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were
Is this basically asking the two-state solution, or is it a different thing?
Their agriculture.
Or like, what does it include?
But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this, I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question, would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time. And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your supporters that day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution.
Yeah, that's why I don't think I'm gonna get
who believe that
19.
you violated that oath through your
Or at least not yet.
action on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few.
What the bro, come on, man.
On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people.
You were literally not elected. He was literally not elected yet, bro.
Which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility.
Filmmaker?
Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor of, in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down.
Man, I can't wait for the fact checks of this debate.
I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
I want to read it.
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill, number one. I sat in that dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say...
No, like, I agree. It won't change anything, but I'm just like...
I don't know how many cases.
I don't know what the fuck they're talking about sometimes.
And they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what is being...
Yeah, no, like, I get it. No, I really get it. It's more just like...
And they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out.
Because, like, I'm sitting here like, I know you're saying not true things,
President Biden, President Trump.
but I don't have the energy to, like, try and find out how.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities. You go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that. They saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing. The Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now, out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that.
Like this shit, right? I have no... I know he's probably wrong about that.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at.
I just don't know in what way.
He is
Because if anything, if one of my... if someone brings it up to me, I'm gonna be like, well, no, actually, this is how it works.
And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, was turned over desks, turned them over statues. The idea that those people are patriots, come on. And I asked him the first two debates we had, first time.
God, you're milquetoast. Fuck.
Denounce the Proud Boys. He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing, will you denounce these guys? We denounce the people we're talking about now? We denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse.
That's the thing. That's the fucking thing.
But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of
Like
jail. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir. You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with. And think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star?
Bro.
What are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give you a minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two,
yeah!
They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA.
But you did. But you fucking did.
We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats.
What's going on?
People, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage people. When the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does. He has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up, way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign.
Bro looked shocked to be there, like at all
Hundreds
times.
of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam, and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming around. He's got a whole range of...
Such a weird question.
I don't know what the jury will do, but I do know he has a real problem. And
What
so,
does that, like, question
I think you heard any president
ask?
say that I'm going to seek retribution. Do you ever hear any president say that...
Is that a...
What got me
It feels like a
involved
gotcha.
my son had died, I decided
kind of
to Iraq,
shit, man.
Iraq. I said I
That's
wasn't
such...
gonna
Yeah, that's such a
So I
big
still have
question.
to solve it.
What the
People
fuck?
coming out of the woods carrying swastikas on torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang back in Germany. And the young woman got killed. I spoke to the mother, and they asked him. They said, "What do you think of those people? The ones who got killed, the ones who tried to stop it, and the ones," he said, "I think they're fine people on both sides." What American president would ever say Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas were fine people? This is a guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are. The good things Hitler's done, that's what he said. This guy has no sense of American democracy.
President Trump.
Jake, both of you know that story has been totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on that story. He just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place. Every anchor has, every reasonable anchor.
What do you mean?
Debunked it. And just the other day.
What do you mean? What?
It's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
President Biden.
And debunked. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran. I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought they were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. And the idea that he's talking about all this being fabricated, we saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why? They know him well. They serve with him. Why are they not endorsing him?
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
Woo! Shit, I want to fucking kill myself. Oh my god. Man. Like, I knew it was gonna be depressing, right? But, like, Jesus Christ. God damn it. No, don't kill yourself. You're so sexy. Son of a bitch. Ugh. Ooh.
Ew.
It's like watching two snails race against each other, man.
Yeah. Man, this is I'd rather go back to chunk finding, man. Worse.
God damn.
Bro.
At least the Republican one was like kind of fun. Cause like they were all saying like the wildest shit.
Yeah.
Here it's like,
No, you could have done the instant.
fuck, like these are my choices, bro.
Man, your country may be done. Your country may be done.
Maybe. Match done. Who do you think is winning?
Local Canadian gives opinion on American candidates. Yeah.
I feel like it's still. I don't know. Like they're both just so deeply unpopular. Like I'm a hopeful guy, so you know, I would hope Biden wins.
I know my prime minister did blackface.
I think they are well.
Challenges you both faced in your
Yeah.
first terms, and you'd certainly face again in a second term. President Biden, while black unemployment dropped to a record low,
I chuckled a couple times, Ty.
far less than white families. Black mothers are still 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes, and black Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate of white Americans. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
They acknowledge they made a lot of progress. Number one. The fact of the matter is, there are more small black businesses.
Using
that have
Tetris
started
terms in
in
political
history.
debates.
Number 2,
Insane.
the wages of black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time. Number 3, we're providing housing for black.
That bait question was so crazy.
Segregation.
It's like, do you believe that your voters are stupid, or your potential voters? If
Keep people out of their housing.
what the fuck?
In addition to that, we find that
Yeah, what a question.
It was like one of the earlier questions where like, do you think your voters are voting against democracy when they vote for Donald Trump? And it's like, what the fuck kind of
Yeah, like
what the fuck do you answer to that, bro? Like what?
In half. We're going to make sure we provide for child care costs. We've got to make sure, because when you provide those child care protections, you increase economic growth because more people can be in the job market. So there's more to be done, considerably more to be done. But we've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting up in the middle.
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame
You know what I'm thinking right now?
Inflation is
What?
still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for
I
the
wonder
idea that
if one of them have played
black
Tetris
family,
before,
first-time
and what's their
home
high
buyers should
score?
get a $10,000 tax
Oh my god.
to be able to buy their first home, so they can get started.
Maybe like
And make sure they're in a situation
if
where
one of their
all those black families,
kids
black individuals
picked it up or something. I doubt it.
Yeah, it's such a low chance. No way.
nursing, doctor, and
They're outperforming expectations. Yeah, like they haven't shit the bed yet.
student debt.
I need my food. Hold up.
Millions have benefited from that.
Palmer Lucky said that Trump gets to first release Chromatic. I'm gonna kill him.
Thank you, President Trump.
Whoa, what?
And he caused the inflation.
No, why?
He's blaming inflation, and he's right. It's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't.
Your grandma
buy
hasn't heard of
groceries anymore. They
Tetris
can't
and
even
younger
look
than.
up the
Oh,
cost
okay,
of
okay.
food where it's doubled.
Yeah, there's no way.
Tripled and
There's
quadrupled.
probably no chance
They can't
that they've
live.
even heard of
They're
Tetris.
not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do was
Trump
leave
has
it
a
alone.
D16 last time I remember. Yeah, that's so real.
That's being thrown out the window.
I didn't
Trump
miss
has
anything because my
1.3.
dad was also watching it.
As sure as you're sitting there, the
Oh, okay.
fact
So you just
that
went.
his
You're just able to keep watching
Yeah.
black
from out there.
is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border.
Everyone has heard of
Taking black
Tetris?
jobs
I would
away.
think everyone has
And it
heard of
could be
Tetris, but
18, it could be 19,
It's a difference between
5 million
hearing it
people
and then playing it.
black jobs, and they're taking
Yeah.
Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you. President Biden?
There was no inflation when I became
honestly, that was an awesome
president. The
congratulations.
economy was
Sorry, I'm
flat
gonna go
on
ahead.
its
That was
back.
fun.
15% unemployment. He decimated the economy, absolutely decimated the economy. That's why there was no inflation at the time. There were no
I wish there was
jobs.
an after party though,
Provided
until like
thousands of millions of
like
jobs
1
for
a.m. or something.
individuals
But
who are in all communities, including minority communities. We made sure that they have health insurance. We have covered. The ACA has increased. I made sure that they're $8,000 per.
oh, did you see the pic of the suit I was wearing?
But this
Yeah.
to eliminate that. They tried 50 times.
Dude, I like it looked really good. Honestly, I think it looked really good.
Try again if they win.
Dapper, bro.
We find ourselves in a position where
Yeah.
Bro, I can't do suits, man. Like I
we put
feel
more
icky.
police on the street than any administration has. He wants to
Yeah.
cut the cops. We're providing for equity and making sure people have a shot to make it. There's a lot going on, but in inflation, he caused it by his tremendous.
All right, max out, real.
Reasons in the way
All right,
he handled
max
the
out.
pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis. 2023 was the hottest year in recorded history, and communities across the country are confronting the devastating effects of extreme heat, intensifying wildfires.
Here, you know what? I'll post the
hurricanes, and
I'll
rising
post
sea
the
levels.
picture in this
Former
server.
President
So
Trump used
if anyone in chat
to
wants to
defend
see
your
it,
opponent's
uh,
climate initiatives,
it will
but
be in
will you
the
take
server.
any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Let me just go back
Selfie
to what you
pics.
said about
Shit.
the police. How close the police are to almost every
Brain
police
had like two
organization
options at the
from
same time.
Every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that. Super predators was his name. And he called it to them for 10, and they've taken great offense at it, and now they see it happening. But when they see what I did for criminal justice reform and for the historically
Every
black
time they
colleges in
they
the
show
United States,
Biden,
I
he
funded
just
them
looks
and got 'em all
shocked.
funded. And the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible.
It's like, bro, you know his game. He's just going to lie.
He came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country. Opportunity zones, and the biggest beneficiary are blacks, and that's why.
Dude, what a I'm saving this. Oh my god, that's actually insane. No wonder Donald Trump does have a 1.3.
Let's
He's
go.
done a horrible job for black people. He's also done a horrible job for Hispanics.
Did
But
you
we're
edit
gonna see
this,
these millions of people
Anna?
pouring into our country, and they're going to take the jobs. And
This
it's
looks so
already
funny.
started, and you haven't seen anything yet. It's a disaster.
38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O.
Dude, Jeff
We had
and
the best
Vandy
numbers
commentating
ever, and we
Biden
did it.
versus Trump
We
in
were
Tetris.
using all forms of energy, all forms, everything.
It's in
And yet,
it's in
even
it's in
for 4
Tetris
years,
channel
I had the
and
best environmental numbers
LGBT
ever.
server
And
if you
my
want to
top
see it.
environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
Oh,
I don't know where the hell he's been. The idea that anything he said is true. I've passed the most extensive.
I genuinely don't know what he was talking about.
Change legislation in history. In history, we find ourselves, and by the way, black colleges. I've came up with $15 billion for HBCUs.
Who doesn't love
historic
clean
black
water and
universities
air?
Colleges, because they don't have the kind of contributors that they have to build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college of doing what any white student can do. They just have the money, but now they'll be able to get those jobs in high tech. We're in a situation where the idea that he is claiming to have done something that had the cleanest water, he hadn't done a damn thing with the environment. He pulled out of the Paris Peace Accord, Climate Accord. I immediately joined it because if we
Yeah, I think this break from Tetris is good.
Celsius, there's no way back. The only existential threat to humanity is climate change.
Thanks for subscribing, CJ Newman.
July.
The
Yeah,
Paris
I'll come back to
Accord
it in
was
July.
going to cost us $1 trillion, and China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. It was a ripoff of the United States. And I ended it because I didn't want to waste that money because they treat us horribly. We were the only ones who was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it. And it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I'll give you an
Oh,
example.
yeah, how did you max average in quals?
Those were my first 2 games.
Oh my god, bro.
Is destroying all of our medical programs because the
God
migrants
damn.
coming in, they want everybody. And look, I have the biggest heart on the stage. I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
The idea is that we, in fact, we were the only ones of consequence who were not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything if we're not able to, the United States can't get us under control? One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half. We've made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress.
1.1 average. Last time I got a 1.1 was in like early April. It's been like almost 3 months since I've had a 1.1. I can't pace anymore. And I haven't played Tetris in like a week.
I don't remember what my 1.1 is.
He claims that he has the biggest heart up here, and he's really concerned about pollution and about climate. I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily.
Had a better time than during qual. I can't get like into good like
So every day, millions of Americans struggle
good
just to make ends meet. For
crap.
many
I don't even know
older
what the word would be.
Americans, Social Security provides a
Guess
critical
like good
lifeline.
like
President Biden, if
good shaped
nothing is done to Social
Tetris.
Security,
Like I can't like be
seniors will
like really
see their
consistent
benefits cut
in like 2 or
in
3
just
days.
over 10
Because
years.
quals
Will
end
you
soon
name tonight one
for
specific
CTM already.
step you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
Yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now,
I mean the best qual I can get this
everybody
month is like
$170,000
maybe
6%
850
their
average.
income of their paycheck every single time they get a paycheck. Every time the first one they get when they're 18 years old.
Yes, you can. I still believe.
I'm proposing that everybody they pay.
You're believing in a
1%.
in a thing that's not possible.
I would not raise
For now.
the cost of Social Security
For now.
under
For now, I like wait another month. Wait another month, then I will 1.1 average.
to be able to guarantee the program for life.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security solvent, or is
Like I can't do it in 3 days, but in a month I probably can.
That
I
one
probably
will
can.
keep it solvent, but the biggest thing I'll do if we defeat this man, because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare both times. And that's what, and if you look at the program put forward by the House Republican caucus that he supports, is in fact want to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the way, the American public has greater health care coverage today than ever before. And on the AC, as I said, you're in a circumstance where 400,000 people,
Be bigger.
No.
Could be bigger, Biden. Bigger. Just saying.
Condition only allows
There's a term for that.
What's he say?
that they in fact are part of the
We have like
And by
the
way, other thing,
largest amount of health coverage or whatever. Like there are more people
I've raised
under
the amount of money for Pell
health
Grants,
insurance.
another $8,000. So anybody
Oh.
making under
Okay.
$70,000 a year is going to be able to get $15,000.
I gotta check when the election is for here, because honestly,
You just don't know what he's talking about.
it's been like forever.
So I've dealt with politicians.
I don't know
all
why
my
we
life.
don't
I've
have
been on
a
this
new
side
prime
of
minister
the
yet,
equation
because
for the last
it's
8
been
years.
9 years and we've had the
I've
same
never
prime
seen
minister. It
anybody
should
like
only
this
be
guy.
8.
He lies. I've never seen that. He
I
can
don't know
look
what's
you in the
happening.
face. So many other things too. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our
October
country. And they're putting them
2025?
onto Social
What?
Security. They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our
Why
hospitals.
is it so
They're taking
long?
the place of our citizens there.
Since when
What
was
they're
the
doing to
term
the VA,
5
to our
years?
veterans is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the
Pay
street,
attention.
and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know
Yeah,
what he's
I didn't.
doing, and it's really.
I don't know how I
pathetic.
graduated,
I've never seen
but,
such
you know,
anger in our
I did.
country before.
President Biden?
The idea that veterans are
Can Cobra be president?
By the
I think
way,
you have to
he
wait
said
another
something to losers. He said he
20
acknowledged
years.
after He fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it. Number one.
Cobra's
Number
like
two,
15,
the
16,
idea
right?
that we're going to be in a situation where all these
Yeah.
millions and millions, the way he talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the
He can do it.
fastest growing economy in the world. The reason why we have the most successful
All right.
economy in the world. We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates you talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession and inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 150
Bro,
million presidential
you'd rather have a
voters
15-year-old
worst
control the
president in
country
history of the United States of America.
President
these
Biden, thank
two.
you so much. Let's turn to the cost of child care, which many American families
Not like it's any
struggle to
worse
afford. President Trump, both
currently.
you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost
Yo,
of child
that
care in the
sounds
country has risen to more
good.
than $11,000
Yeah.
a year per child. For many families, the cost of child care for 2 children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make child care more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other thing is, he doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put him there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with that the Afghanistan horror show, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on
God
the border?
damn it.
That's allowed
Fuck's
us to have
sake.
the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people?
700,
Many
740.
from prisons, many from mental institutions. Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to
Where's
be
my
destroyed?
score counter?
Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because
Dude,
I said
yeah,
it.
the I don't think these are moderators. Like, they don't moderate anything. They're just kind of, they just look at the clock and just say time whenever shit happens.
A nothing deal, and it reduced it
I think
a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders.
they just want to have them talk, man. That's crazy.
Or he wants to pick up those people as voters, and I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he
Oh, you
wins
added
this
the
election, our country doesn't
gas,
have a chance, not even a chance
stuff.
of
Gas
coming out of
BBs.
this rut.
Yep.
We probably won't have a country left anymore.
Nice.
That's how bad it is. He's the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We're the most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We have the finest military in the history of the world, the finest in the history of the world. No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up or go online. 159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number, presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history. One through best to worst. They said he was the worst.
Anna, I think I forgot to sign up for CTO.
That's a fact.
And so King said in tier 4 chat, if anyone wants to sign up so we can balance the divs out,
The idea that he is knowing
say now before Greg Boomcannon and I like finalize the boards.
We should significantly increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able
I
to
forgot
go to work.
CTL
And we should encourage
thing was
businesses
on,
to have-
honestly.
to have
Thank you, President
child care
Biden.
I knew it was tonight, I just didn't know.
Childcare more affordable. If you want to take your minute.
Just so you understand, we have polling, we have other things that they rate him the worst because what he's done is so bad.
Didn't know I didn't sign up.
I'll show you. I will show you.
Oh, I should have watched it. Div 5 would have looked really funny.
If
It
I'm
would look
given
fun to
another
watch.
4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever.
Who do I
run an
have?
economy like us. Nobody ever
Rinko,
cut
El
taxes like
Piltum,
us.
Zembro,
He's the only one
Ninja,
I know. He wants to raise your
Rinko,
taxes by
Roman,
4
and Jedi
times.
Evan.
He wants to raise
And
everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants
I
the Trump tax cuts to expire.
don't know how to say the
so
name.
Everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times.
God.
Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd
It's like a waste broad or something. I
I
probably said that terribly, but
we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country.
He's not even answering the original question. Is
And everybody knows it.
President Biden.
Look, fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about. He's increased the tariff. He will increase the taxes on middle class people. I said I'd never raise a tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. But this tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming into the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference in food and all the things that we're importing. Number two, he's in a situation where...
like, what is the point of this debate specifically? Is it to just like show unhinged some of these people are, or is it like to push back on like
Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to
on like
fundamentally
what
bankrupt the country. You had the largest
see these guys are saying? I guess not, because
Number one. Number two,
ain't
we
doing
have
shit.
not, in
So
fact, made any contact, any progress with China. We are the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you,
We were at the
President Biden.
highest. You lost
Thank you,
100%.
President Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made
What?
a top priority in your first term. The opioid
There's no
crisis.
terms.
And for both of you,
in
the number of
Canada.
overdose deaths
No
in
wonder
this
why.
country
I'd
has
never
gone
heard about
up
it.
under your term. It went
well,
up
man.
They can just stay in office.
Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year,
Dude.
primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit.
I don't know what the max amount of time they can stay in office is for, but
deficit with China.
I guess it's 10 years
He
now.
gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from
Yeah.
China. So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. But you notice he never took out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much.
It says
money.
prime ministers
It's
can stay in
tremendous.
office
So he
as
saved our steel industries
long as
and
their
it was
government
more
has
to
the
come.
confidence of
But
a
he hasn't done
majority
that.
in the House of Commons
He
of
hasn't
Canada.
cut the tariffs because he can't.
I
because
don't
it's
think
too much money.
any of the
But he's got the
population has
largest
confidence
deficit
in this
in the
person
history
yet.
of our country.
The House of
And he's
Commons
got
does.
the
Great.
worst situation with China. China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
I can vote next year.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction?
Dude, how did I get so old so
struggling to get the
fast,
treatment they
man?
need?
What happened?
I think we were doing very well at addiction
I don't
until the
understand.
COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's
I'm, like,
ever had
throwing.
before any country in every way. And then we had to get tough. And it was the drugs pouring across the border it started to increase. We got
All right,
great
this one?
equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most
You get a max.
incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot.
God.
And we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways, but the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President Biden?
Fentanyl and byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while. And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl. These big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more be able to detect drugs, more numbers of agents, more numbers of all the people at the border. And when we had that deal done, he called us.
I really want to see how Silly Shark
It's
does.
gonna hurt me politically.
Because they're in Div 3 now.
It's not a good bill. It's a really
I
good
think
bill.
they'll be fine.
We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every
Be like
country
upper.
in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl. And Mexico is
Wait,
working with
let's
us
see.
to
How
make
much
sure
people
they don't
are
have the
in their
technology to be able to
division?
put it together. That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
9 people. I think Silly Shark will be in the top 4
Is about Americans in the throes
by the end of the
addiction right now,
division.
struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, because this does pertain to it. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done. Hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for
Yeah, I already.
It's just
Damn, I already spoiled it.
$6
I
billion
bet.
for every time we say it's a hostage. Now we have a hostage.
But seriously, there's like a really good chance Silly Shark easily makes top 4. Like, they somehow play like really well every single time. It's insane.
For the reporter, I will have him out.
It's really cool to see.
Very quickly, as soon as I take
Oh my
office.
God, wait.
Before I take office, I said by literally as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out.
Paradox needs to be president. I'm not even an American citizen. It's going to take like 4 years to file everything, right?
Two cases we paid $6
No,
million
not even.
for 5 people.
Actually, I don't know what you have to
I
file,
got
but
58 people out, and I paid
Yeah.
essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you. President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term. How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being
Yeah.
the youngest person. in
probably have to be
politics. I was
American
the
born
second
to
youngest
be a
person
president.
ever elected to the United States Senate. And now I'm
That makes
This
sense,
guy's 3 years
obviously.
younger, a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment.
I'll just be prime minister in Canada.
We are growing. By the way, we brought an awful lot of people. Well, the whole idea of computer chips, we used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and to bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And guess what? Those fabs, they call them, to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested and being built right
He's
now
also
in
a
the United
bot.
States, creating
Who's
significant
Ted
jobs
Cruz?
for Americans all over the
Senator.
world.
President Biden, you have
Or a
4
state
seconds left.
senator.
Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The
Or
idea
a
that
senator there.
somehow we
State.
are this failing country.
Oh,
I've heard a
okay.
president talk like this before. We're the envy of the world. Name me a single major
Give me a
president
break.
who trade places with the United States of America for all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world that keeps our word, and everybody trusts
You can
us,
be a
all of our allies.
foreign-born
And
president if you were a
and
senator for
those
9
who he
years.
cuddles up to from Kim Jong-un, he sends love letters to, and Putin, etc.
Let's say it takes 3 years to get my citizenship in the United
President
States.
Trump, to follow up, you would be
When I'll be
82
21,
at the end of
then I
your
run
second term.
for 9
What
years
do
for
you say to
senator.
voters who have concerns
Then I'll be
about
30.
your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests.
And
I
then
did a test. I aced it.
I just have to wait 5 more
As
years.
You know, we made it public. He took none. I'd like
And
to
then
see him take one, just one.
I can run for
a real
president.
easy one. Like go through the first 5
I guess.
questions. You couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably...
Biden's face is fucking hilarious. It like his like shocked face is so funny. He keeps doing it. What is he talking about? His physical well-being and comparing like how he like swings a golf, you know, club well.
You can see he is 6'5" and only 225 pounds. Or 235 pounds.
Swinging a golf club well?
Are we fat shaming right now?
Well, anyway, that's what you're. Anyway, just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving.
Just be senator in Idaho.
I got
I'll just be senator in like
when I was vice president.
Montana or
Down
North
to
Dakota.
6.
You know, just right beside Saskatchewan.
And by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie. That is a 6 handicap of all.
I was at 8 handicap. 8.
Why the fuck are we here, dude? Why are we?
President Trump, we're going to...
Let's not act like children.
That's crazy coming from you, bro.
Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
God damn it.
You will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable.
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to.
See, look, they still call it Twitter.
Nobody ever talks about
It's always going to be
They talk
Twitter.
about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility.
Oh, this
not
RNG
mine.
is gonna-
She said that loud and clear. But the answer is,
Andrew,
if the election
It
is
broke.
corrupted,
It
and I
broke.
want
Can't
that
just say
more than
yes.
anybody. And I'll
For real
tell you
though, he can't say
something.
yes.
I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent.
He's
Because he
talking.
indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now.
Said the
We're a
thing.
seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
You want a World War III, let him follow and win and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want.
Bar.
Oh, Article 5. An attack on one is attack on all, and required response. The idea, I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done and what they've done. Because we're a powerful nation. We have wonderful people. Because of the people, not me, it's because of the American people. They're capable of anything, and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because their own safety is at stake. And again, we want to have a war, just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they move on, see what happens in Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing.
Bro.
Trump, nothing. He knew
He
not
is
to
still
do it.
not saying
Not
yes,
to play
bro.
games with me. He knew that. I
This
got along
guy.
with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this with... He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia. Because
I killed
Ukraine's
the
not
plane
winning
one.
that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people.
No.
They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted.
Jesus Christ,
but
thank you.
The fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely. There's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run.
Oh my God, I killed it.
He's destroying our country.
I killed it. I fucking killed it, dude. Fuck, man.
Again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only
Fuck.
way we can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers
Oh.
to a very high level because the people understand it.
Let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a winner.
Oh, that's so good.
First time.
God
You can
damn it, man.
appeal to courts all across the
Come
country.
on.
Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit. State.
Oh my God.
You continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that.
GG's.
And
We
I'll tell you
maxed.
what,
Yes.
it's just a whiner.
Got the
idea
max.
if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't
Now
steal
you
what
have
else.
more than me,
Snapped and
for
you
sure.
lost the last
Number 23.
We'll be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate, live from Georgia.
When I get my TV back Sunday. Debate buff. Sure. Fuck, man. Fuck, I was right there. Dude, it was so free. It was so free. I've been, it's another thing where it's like, if the inputs are just not happening that day, like, I can't play. Like, I literally can't fix it.
Yeah. All of my max outs in the past 2 months have been super low. They've all been below 1.020.
Shit, man. So quickly. Like really mushy now.
Oh, damn.
Catch up, Zimpro! Catch up! Do controller surgery live again.
Yep.
Why do I have 9 ping? Controller bad. show waiting for me. Thanks for. You're welcome. A flip my pad like 90 degrees to see what happens. So like the ones I didn't cut get you. Alright, who... CNN jump scare, holy shit. Oh, they announced WPL.
Closing statements as predetermined by a coin toss. We're going to begin with you, President Biden. You have 2 minutes.
We've made significant progress from the debacle that was left by President Trump in his last term. We find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone out there in the audience or anyone out watching this debate, do you think the tax system is fair? The fact is that I said nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes and will not. And if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit. Number one, he's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did, when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along what's happening now and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credits people have for child care. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you. Because they don't respect you, and they have to respect
That's
the
a
president, and they don't
dumb
respect you throughout the
conflation.
world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like that. Even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former President Trump, President Biden. Stay with us because we have full analysis of this debate. Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett starts now on CNN.
Gotta clock you. Oh, this is a spooky outro.
Like, what a weird outro.
The president and former president making their way off the CNN debate stage. Looks like Jill Biden, the first lady, has come out. Former President Trump walking off the stage. The first debate of the 2024 campaign and the earliest presidential debate ever now in the books and in front of the voters. Tonight, along with Aaron Burnett, the first word on what those voters might make of it from our political professionals, from our CNN Flash poll
that's
and
gonna be
swing
tough.
state focus group. We'll be talking to surrogates, including Vice President Harris, getting fact checks from our Daniel Dale and new reporting.
Now the fact checks happen.
Political commentator Scott Jennings, Kate Bedingfield, David.
Well, I maxed during the debate. That was technically the goal, I guess.
This was a game-changing debate
Yeah.
in the sense that right now,
Oh
as we
my
speak,
God.
there is a deep, a wide, and a very aggressive panic in the Democratic Party. It started minutes into the debate, and it continues right now. It involves party strategy.
Do I just end here?
I'd say probably yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably like keep watching like off stream. I'll probably let me mute that. But yay. Oh my god. It happened again, folks. We maxed during the debate. Oh my god. This is so dumb. Why do they have it now? I didn't know this was early in terms of debates. I mean, I guess it's okay. I just want to have more then. If anything, if we're doing it this early. Oh my god. Who do I bother? No. Who do I Oh dear. Twitch is not responding. Let's go. Opera is frozen. Let me just open the other browser that I have. Who we following? Moist Critical was also watching the debate. That's funny. Oh, Scooty versus Dog on Colin's channel. I can probably do that.
Yeah.
It's here. I mean, like, initial reactions after that, I feel like, oh my god. It's like, again, I was like, is this really what we're gonna be doing, you know? Like, is this what we're doing? Damn it. No. Bother them. I guess, yeah, we can raid Colin. That was shit. That was so shit. Oh my god. Like, I'd probably like faceplant and like die just to regain some sort of energy.
Yeah.
Because I was just
There's
like
the messages.
The messages, make messages. Wee, 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 wee. It's crazy, man. Shit, man, that happened. That just happened. I'm sure that there are many more to go. You know, like, oh god. Okay. Bye, chat. Thanks for watching two old people talk for like an hour, nearly 2 hours. That's crazy. Oh my god, an hour and a half. Oh man. Let me press the raid now button. What the fuck? What?